Hello guys, Cody Matechuk here again. Welcome back to the channel. Today, I'm gonna go through my daily bike maintenance tips and tricks. What I do to get ready for a day. All we're gonna need today is a torque wrench, a 12mm socket, a 17mm socket, and then I also use a 8mm T-handle and a 10mm T-handle. And just gonna go over the basic checks that I like to do on my Yeti kit and Yamaha, and get ready for a big day in the mountains. Alright, so the first thing we're going to check over on the bike is the Yeti kit itself. There's 4 bolts on each side, 4 main ones that I like to check every ride, and they're the 12mm. So grab your torque wrench, set it to 25 foot-pounds, and 12mm socket. Alright, so on the Yeti kit, these bolts on your carbon fiber are the one that seems to come loose once in a while. If you set them up with lots of blue Loctite and the proper torque right away, you should have no problems, but still very good to check. I usually torque these to 25 foot-pounds. If you have a lot of blue Loctite, sometimes it's good to actually go a little bit less, I find. So I'll set it to 23. Because if it moves at 25, it's gonna move at 23 if it did start to pack out. But at least you don't risk budging the Loctite by over tightening. Once it's got a nice bond, you want it to stay there. So I'll just check it. Good. Good. Now I also like to check the shock shafts, the bolts on the bottom of the shock shaft that attach to the rail. A little bit harder with a scratcher there. That one's good. That one's good. And then we're going to repeat on the other side. Once you've checked these 8 12mm bolts, you're done with the 12mm socket. And we're going to throw a 17 on. And then get into the belt drive. Alright, on my belt drive, or on my bike, I have a rear brake on the foot pedal, so not on the hand. So I'm just over here to stand on the rear brake while I check these ones. Now, your 2 gears will be set at 45, and then the middle idler wheel will be 38. So it creaked, but it did not move, and that one didn't either. If you want a quick tip on not having to do this part, just take a paint marker and draw yourself a line, and then you can visually just check before a ride. Makes things a little quicker. And we're good in the belt drive. Alright, now on the Yeti kit there is a few bolts with nuts. This is on the top of your front shock, and then also off your rear reactor arms. I've had one come loose on me, probably just I didn't check it, but most of the time I've never seen these move. What I usually do is visually check them just to make sure that the bolt is buried through the nylock on the nut. If you want to throw a torque wrench on it, it never hurts to be extra safe. They're 18 foot-pounds. They're smaller bolts than the other ones. So yeah, 18 foot-pounds. It's titanium, not steel, so it doesn't stretch. So do what the manual says as far as torque specs go in that regards. And then once we've done that, the Yeti kit's ready to go, and then we move on to some of the bike stuff. Let's talk about chain tension. So chain tension, you run them tight, so not a lot of slack. I always look at the actual the spring chain tensioner. As it gets loose, it starts tensioning this chain down a lot, and you'll see this big wave here. That's too loose. Basically tighten it almost as far as it goes and run it like that. When the soft strut collapses, the chain grows, or it gets looser. So you want it running at the tight side. So always visually check your chain before you're ready to go. The next thing, as I'm working down beside the chain, I like to check the oil. the engine oil. Now I just changed the oil in this bike, so that part's easy. But with the Selkirk, what I usually do is you can look through the shifter hole. I don't have a light, but I can see my sight glass through the shifter hole. Technical difficulties. So I can see my sight glass through that shifter hole, and really easy for a nice quick inspection to make sure that you have oil and to see how clean or dirty your Liqui-Moly 040 oil is. On to the next. All right, on to the 10 mil T-handle. So we're just gonna basically check over the seat bolts, the plastic, everything that, you know, normal dirt bikes once in a while slowly rattle out. Just do a quick check, doesn't take long. Need a little. The shroud's all 8 mil, so we'll come back for that. Everything I can fit onto, basically. And then now we're gonna go grab our 8 mil. Shroud bolts. Give them all a quick check, doesn't take long. Other side. Now all your plastic's good, Yeti kit's good. We reinstalled the belt drive cover, chain's good, oil's good, and then last thing to check is your front end and then the coolant. On my front end, I mostly just do a visual check. I've never had everything come apart on me, therefore, based on trial and error and years of doing it, I kind of just know my front end pretty good. So generally do a visual check. Check that the gap on the fork clamps is still the same, that you remember it. Check that your ski nut is all the way through past the locking nut. Give your ski a shake back and forth. I had some bushings I had to replace on mine, on my other bike just recently. Give everything just a nice visual check over. Our bolts are seated here in the clamps. That's still seated, nothing's loose, and we are good to go. Now on snow bikes, temperature is a big thing. Sometimes we're up in temperature, sometimes we're down in temperature. Sometimes it fluctuates out of our control based on the situation we might find ourselves in, and we forget to look at the temperature gauge. Anyways, things happen. Coolant, check it out before you go out. It's just, you're going out for a big day and you're out in the middle of nowhere, and if you have low on coolant, your bike's not gonna run consistent, and it could lead to other problems. So just give it a quick visual. Hard to see, but my coolant level's good in there. And that's it. Pull it off, check it out. So your oil, your coolant, that covers all your fluids. Obviously make sure you have fuel. Check your front end over visually. Check your Yeti kit. The bolts on the carbon fiber seem to be a little pesty once in a while, but once you get it set with blue Loctite, you shouldn't have to touch it again. So just make sure you're using some Loctite. Check your plastics. Plastics I don't do every time, but it has caught me in the backcountry losing shroud bolts, so it is good to check every time. But the Yeti kit, for sure, just run a torque wrench over that, run a torque wrench over your belt drive, chain tension, and you should be ready to hit the mountains. So thanks for watching, joining me. We're out in Pemberton, BC, going to, we got almost a week straight of riding ahead of us, so stoked both bikes are ready to go. Here's my tips, tricks, and maintenance schedule as far as daily maintenance goes. Hope you enjoyed, and leave a comment below, like, subscribe, let me know what you want to see next. Thanks guys.